At about 6:23 this morning, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office and the Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation were called to the Maquoketa Cave State Park campground on the report of a shooting. When officers arrived, they located 3 deceased bodies at a campsite in the Maquoketa Cave State Park camp.
What happened at Maquoketa Cave State Park are shocking to say the least. Why was this family murdered? And what is the fate of the only surviving son? Now, our love and respect go out to all those who knew and loved the victims of this tragic crime and all those affected by this case. 42-year-old Tyler Schmidt was the husband of Sarah Schmidt, who was also 42. He grew up in Cedar Falls, Iowa, United States. Tyler's wife Sarah was born in Kansas City, Missouri, but lived most of her childhood in St. Louis. She had 3 siblings. They both attended Truman State University in Kirksville, Missouri, and then lived in Lawrence, Kansas. Tyler was an IT software engineer at Treva, an Overland Park-based company in Kansas, while Sarah worked at the University of Kansas. The couple had 2 kids, Arlo Schmidt, who was 9 years old, and Lula Schmidt, who was 6 years old. In 2018, the family moved to Cedar Falls, and then Sarah started working at the community library. This family loved the outdoors. They enjoyed hiking, Christmas activities, and camping. They started camping a year and a half before the tragic incident. The children loved the outdoors, so they made it a tradition to go camping. The Schmidt family went camping as usual on this day at Maquoketa Cave State Park. They had set up their tent on the park grounds on July 22. In the early morning, as the sun rose before 6:30 a.m., the unfortunate event took place. An assailant murdered 3 members of the Schmidt family in their sleep, leaving the son Arlo, who had escaped from the murder scene. Tyler was shot multiple times and stabbed to death. Sarah was stabbed to death, and Lula died from strangulation and a gunshot. Anthony Orlando Sherwin, a 23-year-old man from La Vista, Nebraska, was suspected to be the murderer. He also had been traveling and camping at the same park with his family, his father Joe Sherwin and his mother Cecilia Sherwin, but they were 75 yards away from the Schmidt family. Arlo, the son who escaped, ran out to cry out for help. He met another camper, who happened to be Sherwin's mom, trying to explain the situation to her. Cecilia Sherwin's mom held the boy's hand and walked fast to the entrance of the camp. It was there she called 911.
Jackson County 911, where's your emergency?
Maquoketa Caves.
Maquoketa Caves?
Yeah.
Okay, what's going on out there?
Shooting. And he said that his parents were shot in the blood.
Oh, I don't know if that's his fault.
He doesn't know if they're shot. That's scary.
I woke up and there was like someone in like black clothes, and they had a weapon, and my sister was screaming.
Were there any shots, or what kind of weapon did he have?
I think it was some kind of small gun.
What is your name?
Cecilia Sherwin.
You're the park ranger?
Okay, you go ahead and talk to him, okay?
Hey, thank you very much.
She explained what happened to the dispatcher and said that she ran with the boy to the entrance for safety, thinking the shooter was going to come out and shoot them too. The dispatcher asked to speak with Arlo to explain what he saw. He said that he was in the tent with his dad, mom, and sister when he woke up. He saw a man in black clothes with a weapon. He heard his sister screaming and gunshot sounds as he ran out. He paused, then said that he felt his family was hurt. The call lasted for 23 minutes. Then, a park ranger arrived immediately. From the call and observations, it was established that the killer acted alone and no accomplice was found or linked to the killer. When the police arrived, they found 3 members of the Schmidt family dead. Then, after a thorough search, Sherwin was found dead somewhere in the camp. Investigations conducted showed that Sherwin committed suicide. He died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The officers arrived at the incident scene before 6:30 a.m. and asked that all campers evacuate the park. They were all interviewed by the officers, who were trying to gather solid information to use for further investigation. It was then that they found that Sherwin wasn't part of the campers who left the camp. Also, when they heard that he was armed, they surrounded the park in search of him until they found him dead. From the search and little observations made, it was determined that Sherwin was the killer.
Officers found the body of this man, Anthony Sherwin. He's 23 years old. Sherwin appears to have suffered a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Authorities have not confirmed how the other campers were killed, nor Sherwin's relationship to them. We are told there is no danger to the public. However, the park is considered an active crime scene, so it is closed to the public because of the murders.
2 weeks later, on Friday, August 4th, autopsy results came out and the cause of death was reviewed. The police have refused to respond to some questions, like if the gun found on Sherwin's body was the same used for the murder. The Sherwin family demanded the full and final reports. They asked the lead investigators whether a strong match for the gun was seen, but no reply was given. Debbie McClung, Strategic Communications Bureau Chief with the Iowa Department of Public Safety, said that the information they demand is not public. They can only share immediate facts and circumstances of the case. The DCI also declared that all evidence collected from the time of the incident to the present is substantial enough to conclude that Sherwin was the one who committed the homicide. And he acted alone. The Sherwins don't believe it. Cecilia said that her son couldn't have been the killer. His character and the evidence shared so far do not prove that her son committed the act. She said that Arlo mentioned that the criminal wore black, but her son wore green that day because she had given him green shorts, as they were the only clean clothes remaining from traveling and camping. She also explained how devastated they were as parents to hear that their son is dead, and not going back home with him is still very hard to fathom. She described her son as kind, calm, sensitive, and an outstanding student. She said he was an aspiring businessman and also mentioned that her son would never do such an act. She sympathized with Arlo, saying that she regularly thinks of him. The Sherwins went ahead to independently get an autopsy report for their son, but the results made them even more confused. The police also refused to disclose the particular area in the park where Sherwin's body was found. The Quad City Times and the Dispatch-Argus requested multiple records related to the shooting under the Freedom of Information Act and Iowa's Open Records Law. However, the Iowa Department of Public Safety denied the request. The newspapers sought information about the incident, hoping to gain access to various documents. Despite their efforts to obtain these records through legal channels designed to ensure transparency, their attempts were unsuccessful. The Department of Public Safety's refusal to release the information prevented the publications from obtaining the requested details. Cecilia had concluded that the Department of Public Safety was totally ignoring all requests. The police could not say whether Sherwin had a criminal record. There were no records of criminal activities committed in the past by Sherwin found in the online court records in Nebraska and Iowa after searching. The only record that Sherwin had with the police prior to the incident was when he went to a police station in July 2017 to report someone who tried to use his insurance to get dental work done in Oklahoma. He later called the police to inform them that his insurance company had made a mistake by sending him someone else's bill. This record was released by the La Vista Police Department. No motive behind this particular violent murder has been found. The families of both the victims and the suspected murderer have confirmed that both parties had never met before. Mitch Mortvedt, Iowa DCI Assistant Director from the investigation, said that there was nothing they could establish that precipitated anything other than the randomness of the murder. He also said that investigators have found hints as to what the motive was, but they don't plan to release that information to the public.
Local 4's Matt Holdham reports they can't find any motive so far.
Just really unthinkable emotions that we're dealing with right now.
4 days since the shocking murder-suicide shooting at Maquoketa Cave State Park, investigators are now moving closer towards final conclusions on what happened and final answers to everyone's questions. But unfortunately, some of those answers may be the fact that we never will get answers.
There was nothing that we can establish that precipitated anything other than just the randomness of it.
Mitch Mortvedt with Iowa's Division of Criminal Investigations has been on this case, and he says one baffling conclusion they could be moving towards is that the alleged killer, 23-year-old Anthony Sherwin, didn't know the people he killed whatsoever and may have carried out the killings with little motive.
At this time, we have not been able to come across any type of interaction between him and the Schmidt family, nothing that precipitated it. As far as we know, again, after talking to, his family that he was with, his parents, as well as other campers.
The executive assistant of the Christian camp, Beth Salek, said that Fridays are usually pickup days for campers at the Christian-focused camp, which is about 1.5 miles away from the Maquoketa Caves. But at 9:11 a.m., When the local law enforcement sent a notification to the directors that there was a violent murder situation at the state park and they were asked to evacuate immediately, the plans changed. She said that their staff told the campers that they were going to do a surprise visit to Little Bear Park in Maquoketa. They got the campers excited and loaded everyone on the bus. They did a great job in making sure that the campers had no idea there was a shooting situation trying to be uncovered a mile and a half down the road, to avoid fear and panic. There have been many other reactions to the heartbreaking news from close relatives, community members, and other personnel in Iowa. The mayor, Rob Green, posted on Facebook about the incident. He announced the news and information about the funeral arrangement. He said that he knew Sarah well and that she and her family were regular walkers in the Sartori Park neighborhood. He also said that he was supposed to work with her that week on a public library tech presentation. Green said he was devastated by the deaths and mentioned that details were in the works about services and memorials. He further announced that the Cedar Falls Library would be closed on the Saturday in July when the incident happened. For the sake of the staff who loved and worked with Sarah, he offered his condolences to the Schmidts' many friends, neighbors, and co-workers as they tried to process the horrible tragedy. After learning of the homicide, Maggie Mouse, a frequent patron of the Bluff Lake Catfish Farm restaurant, expressed her shock, saying that the atmosphere in the restaurant was much quieter than it would have been on a typical summer Friday. The restaurant is located so close to the park that both customers and employees typically drive through it to get there. She continued by saying that she saw the incident as proof of the ongoing mental health crisis in the United States and that it was tragic and sad that incidents like this still occurred in the world. The eastern entrance to the park, which was closed off throughout Friday afternoon on the day of the incident, was being watched by armed DNR conservation officers, according to DNR spokesman Tammy Cron, who announced that the gate would remain closed until July 28. On the day of the tragedy, all camping bookings were also canceled and refunded that same Friday afternoon. Iowa DNR Director Kayla Lyon issued a statement in which she expressed her sorrow for the families affected by the tragic incident. Representative Ashley Hinson of the United States also made a statement on Twitter about the horrific and senseless act of violence that occurred. She expressed sympathy for Iowans and reassured them that they would continue to monitor the situation until it is resolved. The Cedar Falls community is remembering a family who lost 3 members in the senseless killing at Maquoketa Cave State Park. Just one little boy survived. Our hearts are beyond broken, and our lives shattered to pieces. We go on for Arlo, to love and support him. The city held a celebration of life ceremony for Sarah, Tyler, and their 6-year-old daughter, Lula. Their son, 9-year-old Arlo, survived. Several family members spoke to the crowd, saying the Schmidts were lovers of the outdoors and big family people. Arlo was not there, but Cedar Falls Mayor Rob Green said they hope this is something he can look back on when he's older. Many other official personnel made posts and comments about the incident, expressing their condolences and grief. Their grief and reassured the community members of safety. The firm that employed Tyler also issued a statement, expressing how devastated they were upon hearing of the terrible and untimely passing of their colleague, his wife, and their daughter. They described Tyler as a delight to work with, an exemplary professional, a partner to their clients, and a mentor to his co-workers. The company expressed its profound sympathies to his family and his surviving son, Arlo, and said that they will miss him greatly. 2 days after Sarah, her husband Tyler, and their daughter Lula were shot and killed while camping at the park, Sarah's brother, Adam Morehouse, spoke on Sunday about his memories of his older sister and her family. According to him, the Schmidt family represented the perfect Midwestern family of 4, admired by all. He said, "This was completely random. Nobody in either family knew anybody. We didn't know the suspect. The suspect didn't know us. We don't know of any interaction that occurred. It was simply this individual woke up that morning and decided to pick a tent, and walk into that tent where my sister and her family were sleeping and never got a chance to wake up." Morehouse shared that the Schmidt family were simply enjoying a family vacation at the park, doing what they loved before becoming victims of the tragedy. He added that about a year and a half ago, they started camping for the first time, and the kids took to it immediately. So, it became a cherished activity they loved doing together as a family. As announced by the mayor earlier, the memorial event to honor the Schmidt family, organized by the Cedar Falls community, took place on Tuesday, August 2, 2022, from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Overman Park. The park was set aside for neighbors to gather before the ceremony. The event was set up like this because, according to the mayor, even though it was not a festive event, Tyler and Sarah would have loved to see the neighbors come together. The event featured stories about the Schmidt family and was live-streamed for family and friends to watch, allowing them to see how much the Schmidt family was loved by all. The memorial event drew about 200 people who came to honor and sympathize with the Schmidt family. According to the DNR, a temporary memorial site was set up to honor the Schmidt family at the entrance sign of the Maquoketa Cave State Park, near the visitor center. In today's top story at 6:02, we remember a family killed in a senseless act of violence. A celebration of life took place for the Schmidt family, who were attacked while at Maquoketa Cave State Park earlier this month. Tyler, Sarah, and their 6-year-old daughter Lula were shot and killed by a gunman. Their son, Arlo, was able to escape. The Schmidt family lived in Cedar Falls, where Sarah was a librarian at the public library, and they were active in the community. As one community member mentioned, "We were smitten by Tyler and Sarah. They possessed the superpower of truly seeing people and helping them feel seen and heard." A GoFundMe page was set up to help Arlo after the tragic death of his family. By Monday afternoon, $25,000 had already been raised, with Tyler's company contributing $5,000 to the account in support of Tyler's son. A separate meal train was also created to help the victims' families. As of now, the account for Arlo has collected $294,000 and is still accepting donations. He is currently living with an aunt and uncle in Cedar Falls, Iowa. KWQC reports that exactly 1 year later, the park remains active, with families still camping and enjoying the caves. In an interview, Scott Carroll from Wisconsin, who was camping with his family, said that he wouldn't allow the scary and violent event to ruin his time with his wife and daughter. Tomorrow marks 1 year since 3 members of a Cedar Falls family were murdered while camping at the Maquoketa Cave State Park, and there are still many questions left unanswered. Tyler, Sarah, and 6-year-old Lula were found dead inside their tent around 6 o'clock in the morning. Their 9-year-old son, Arlo, escaped and survived the attack. Investigators found the body of 23-year-old Anthony Sherwin near the scene. They say he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation said evidence showed Sherwin acted alone in killing the 3 family members. But investigators never released a motive. They also never released how, or if, the family and Sherwin knew each other. Sherwin's mother told reporters she did not believe her son committed the crime. Additionally, the case was closed since no substantial evidence was found to further the investigation. That's the end of our video for today. What are your thoughts on this case? Do you think Sherwin committed the triple homicide? Share your opinion in the comments section below. If you want to see more videos like this, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell so you can stay updated on our latest true crime videos. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.